I don't remember what I was looking for that morning. An old tax folder, maybe, or a USB drive from when my job still required suits and Zoom calls. What I found was a box labeled Rachel High School, shoved behind a row of forgotten Christmas wrapping paper and a plastic bin of expired vitamins. Dusty, water-stained cardboard. I pulled it out and sneezed. Rachel, my best friend since junior year of college, matron of honor at my wedding, godmother to my daughter. The kind of woman who wore oversized sweaters and expensive perfume, and who could make grocery shopping feel like an indie film montage. We hadn't spoken in 4 months, not since her abrupt move to Arizona, her fresh start. She didn't invite us to her going-away party, said it would be too emotional. I opened the box without knowing why. Maybe I missed her. Maybe I needed something to fill the silence of that cold Wednesday morning, after Michael had left for work and I dropped Lily off at pre-K. Maybe I just needed to remember something warm. Inside were old mix CDs, a faded hoodie, theater programs with her name underlined in pink gel pen. At the bottom was a black and white composition notebook. You know the kind college ruled. Spine peeling. On the cover, private, do not read. In the same looping script she used to forge her own hall passes. Naturally, I read it. The first pages were harmless. Cringy, even. She had a crush on our RA freshman year. She fantasized about moving to Paris and writing poetry in a cafe. She hated her thighs. She hated her thighs. Then page 42. I remember it clearly because of the coffee ring at the top. A smudged brown circle like a warning bell. I almost skipped it. But I read every word. The idea came to me last night while watching them cook together, Liz and Michael. My best friend and her husband, I know it sounds awful, but the way he looked at her, God, she doesn't even see it. He does everything for her, peels her garlic, pours her wine, and she doesn't see it. But I do. And the worst part? I don't even feel guilty. Not yet, anyway. I've been watching, noticing the cracks, the missed phone calls, her frustration with his work trips, the way she rolls her eyes when he talks about his students. I wonder what he sees in her. I wonder if he ever imagined what it would be like with me instead. I bet he has. It wouldn't be hard. I could start with the wine? Suggest a nightcap after their next dinner party. Something light. Something flirty. Accidental hand touches. A joke whispered too closely. I know him. I could make him love me. I didn't move for a long time after that. Just sat on the cold floor of the storage closet, notebook trembling in my hands. I remember the sound of the dryer in the next room. The smell of the pine-scented detergent we both used. The click of the heat kicking on. I reread that passage 3 times. And then I kept reading. The entries were scattered. Some from last year, others from 3 years ago. It wasn't a full-on seduction diary. More like, possibly, research. Scenarios. Strategies. Psychological autopsies. Some pages were black with crossed-out lines. Others were lists. Things he notices. Clean fingernails. Classical music. Women who read confidence, but not arrogance. If he drinks whiskey, go for the soft approach. If he opens wine, tease, be clever, don't flatter. If Liz goes to bed early, stay. Stay longer. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. My palms went cold. Somewhere in the back of my head, a voice screamed, "This can't be real!" But I knew Rachel. I knew that tone, that obsessive precision, that ability to self-justify. The final straw came with the entry dated 1 week after Michael's 36th birthday. I kissed him. No flourish, no explanation, just those 3 words underscored twice. I shut the notebook. My breath was coming too fast, and my fingers had gone numb. I shoved everything back into the box, except the diary, that I held like it might detonate. Then I heard the front door open. "Hey, babe," Michael's voice. They let us out early. I picked up lunch. I shoved the diary into my coat pocket. "Be right there," I called, trying to sound normal, but nothing would be normal again. I watched Michael that afternoon like a stranger watching a man through a pane of glass. He was slicing sourdough in the kitchen, oblivious, humming off key. He always hummed when he was in a good mood, right before meals, during road trips, after sex. That afternoon, he was humming as he set out 2 bowls of lentil soup and said, "I added extra cumin this time. You said it needed something." The casual kindness, the thoughtfulness, stabbed harder than a betrayal might have. Because it felt real. And if it was real, then what the hell had I read in Rachel's diary? Was he pretending too? Had I missed it all along? I stirred my soup without tasting it. "You remember that dinner party we did for my birthday last year?" I asked, watching him closely. He paused mid-bite. "Sure. Rachel brought that awful vegan chocolate thing, remember?" I smiled. "Yeah. She stayed late, did she?" He blinked. "I don't really remember." I stared into his eyes. He didn't flinch. Either he was the world's best liar, or the world's biggest fool. That night, after Lily fell asleep and Michael went upstairs to grade papers, I pulled the diary out again. There was more. I touched his arm when I laughed. He looked at my hand. I think he noticed the bracelet. I wore the one he complimented last summer. It's all so subtle. So slow. But I know how men unravel. I flipped forward. My hands trembled. Last night, she was in the kitchen, and I asked him about his book list. Said I wanted to understand his world. I watched his eyes light up. He said he liked that I listened. He said Liz gets bored when he talks about theory. I don't. I pressed my thumb against the ink until it smeared. I wanted to scream. To confront her. Him. Both. But then a darker thought curled its fingers around me. What if he never crossed the line? What if she just wanted him to? What if I accused him and destroyed something that never even broke? The diary wasn't proof. It was obsession, planning, possibility, but no evidence, no dates, no names beyond mine and his, no texts, no photos, just pages of curated madness. Still, the line stuck with me. I kissed him. The next day, I called Rachel. The call rang 3 times before going to voicemail. Her voice was bright, rehearsed. "Hey, it's Rachel. You know the drill. Leave a little love after the beep." I hung up, then I texted, "Hey, found something of yours while cleaning. Mind if I mail it?" No reply. By dinner, still nothing. Not a single blue tick. At 10 p.m., I finally got a message. "What did you find?" I stared at the screen. My hands were clammy. "Your old notebook." The typing bubble appeared instantly. Then stopped. Then appeared again, finally. "Please don't read it." Too late. I stared at those 4 words. Not, "What notebook?" Not, "Oh my God, thank you." Just, "Please don't read it," I replied. "Rachel, I have questions." No answer. That week, I became someone I didn't recognize. I watched Michael constantly, took notes on where he went, asked Lily offhandedly, "Does Daddy ever talk to Auntie Rachel when I'm not around?" "No," she said simply. "She's boring." I started checking his phone when he showered. No messages from Rachel, no photos, no saved numbers under aliases. I wanted to believe he was innocent. I needed to believe it. But then Friday happened. It started with a scent. Michael came home late again and kissed my cheek like always. But his jacket smelled different, vanilla and vetiver. Not mine. Not his. Not ours. I didn't ask. I just said, "How was work?" He shrugged. "Busy. I had to stay late with Janine. We're planning the mock trial for the seniors. Sorry I missed dinner." I smiled tightly. "It's okay." Then I made a mental note. Janine wears citrusy perfume, not vanilla. I went into the bathroom and locked the door. Took out the diary from under the sink. I read the last full entry again. I kissed him. He froze. Then he said, "I can't." I told him I understood. I said I just needed to know. He left the room without looking back. I cried for 10 minutes. But I smiled after. Because now I know. She never deserved him. That line felt like a blade. She never deserved him. I closed the diary and stared at my reflection. My face looked older. Harder. as if something had calcified behind my eyes. I wasn't sure who I was angrier with, Rachel, for what she tried to do, or myself, for wondering if she was right. That night, I did something I hadn't done in years. I lay awake until Michael started snoring softly beside me. Then I slipped out of bed, went downstairs, and poured a glass of wine. I sat in the dark kitchen, thinking of all the late nights Rachel had stayed over, all the times she'd hugged him a second too long, all the lingering glances I'd dismissed. The signs were always there. I just hadn't wanted to see them, and now I couldn't unsee any of it. I did not plan to search her old room. That's what I told myself anyway. Rachel used to stay with us for entire weekends. When Michael and I were still in that early stretch of marriage passionate, chaotic, grateful. Before Lily. Before tenure track fights and my miscarriages and the slow drift into comfortable resentment, Rachel had a toothbrush in our guest bathroom, a drawer full of travel-size makeup. I hadn't touched it in months, until that Sunday morning. Michael had taken Lily to the park. "She needs to run," he said. "She's starting to bounce off the walls." I nodded. "Take your time." And then I went upstairs. The guest bathroom was spotless. Of course it was. Rachel was always meticulous. I knelt in front of the vanity and opened the drawer, still there. A lipstick, coral, the kind I would never wear. A half-used perfume vial, same scent from Michael's jacket. Vanilla. Vetiver. The bass notes of a stranger. A folded piece of paper wedged in the far back. I unfolded it slowly, half expecting something awful. A photo. A used wrapper. Instead, it was a list, things to remember. He likes jazz, but not sax solos. Don't interrupt when he talks about his students. Make him feel needed. Laugh like Liz used to. Be patient. At the bottom, he's worth the wait. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat on the floor with that stupid list in my lap, and for the first time, I felt something I hadn't allowed myself to feel since this all began. Pity, not for her. For me, because I realized something cruel. Rachel had made herself into a version of me. Not the real me, but the woman she thought Michael wanted. The one I used to be, maybe. It wasn't love. It was identity theft. Emotional plagiarism. I stuffed the paper back into the drawer and closed it. But the perfume? I took that with me. That night, I wore it, just to see what would happen. Michael didn't say anything, but he lingered when he kissed me goodnight. His hand brushed the side of my neck lightly, like a memory stirring. I almost asked, "Do I smell like her?" Instead, I said, "Good night," and then I lay awake for hours, thinking about the small ways we shape ourselves to please others. The stories we write in our heads, the ones we don't admit to, even in our own diaries. Monday morning, Rachel called. I didn't answer. I watched the phone buzz on the kitchen counter, my hands sticky with peanut butter from Lily's sandwich. A voicemail arrived 30 seconds later. Her voice was tight, breathy. "Liz, I think we need to talk. Please. I don't want this to go wrong." Go wrong? I listened to it twice. Then I deleted it. That night, Michael and I had sex. I initiated it. I don't know why. Maybe to stake a claim. Maybe to study his reactions. Maybe because I wanted to feel something that belonged to me again. He kissed me like he used to, held my hips tightly, whispered, "God, I miss this." And for a moment, I believed it. I wanted to believe it. But then he pulled me closer, his nose brushing my neck, and he whispered, "You smell incredible." I froze. That perfume. He didn't know. He didn't recognize it. He thought it was me. That broke something inside me. The next day, I called Rachel. She picked up instantly. "Liz?" I read it, I said. Silence. Then, I figured, was it true? I asked. All of it? Her voice softened. Some of it was fantasy. Some of it was me working through feelings. I never meant to hurt you. You wrote that you kissed him. Another silence. I did. Once. He pulled away. When? Last year. After your miscarriage. You were in bed for days. He looked. Lost. And you thought that meant he wanted you? I thought he needed something. I don't know. It was a mistake. I could hear her pacing. A small clink, maybe a spoon tapping a mug. I loved you, I said. I trusted you with everything. I know. And I ruined it. I waited. No denial, no excuses, only, what are you going to do? I didn't answer. Because I didn't know. After the call, I sat in Lily's room. Her pink nightlight glowed softly. Her stuffed rabbit lay tucked beside her. I watched her sleep and thought, she will grow up and love people. She will trust them. Some of them will break her. What will I tell her then? Will I tell her about Rachel? About the notebook beneath the floorboards? About the things we forgive to preserve the illusions that keep us sane? That night, I placed the diary back in its box, sealed it with packing tape. On the top, I wrote in black Sharpie, "Forget this." Then I hid it in the attic. Not gone, not forgiven, just postponed. I don't know what possessed me to check the baby monitor. Lily hadn't used it in months. She was 4 now. The monitor still sat in our bedroom drawer, next to the expired prescriptions and a tube of hand cream I'd been meaning to throw away. It was an old model just audio, no video. We used to keep the receiver in our room when she was an infant, just to hear her breathing. That night, 2 weeks after the call with Rachel, I found it buried under a stack of birthday cards. Out of instinct more than suspicion, I charged it and turned it on. White noise. Then, static. Then, voices. Not live. A recording. I stared at the screen. Somehow, Michael had never erased the SD card, and Rachel's voice was on it. It took me 15 minutes to find the file. It wasn't labeled, just a date, almost 8 months ago. The same week I'd been in the hospital. I pressed play. At first, nothing. Just rustling, maybe from Lily's sheets. Then, footsteps. Then, Rachel, she's asleep. Michael, I shouldn't have let you come up here. Rachel, you didn't stop me. Michael, this isn't right. Rachel, I know, but it feels real. Michael, Rachel, just let me stay a little longer. Silence. Then the soft sound of kissing. I paused the recording. My hands were shaking. I rewound and played it again. This time I listened to the whole thing. It wasn't long, maybe 6 minutes. Most of it was quiet, interspersed with soft murmurs, breathy confessions. At one point she said, "I would have made you happy," and Michael replied, "You're not her." That line gutted me, because it sounded like a defense. But it also sounded like regret. I didn't confront him that night. I couldn't. I lay in bed beside him, his breathing deep and steady, and I stared at the ceiling until dawn. The next morning, I dropped Lily off at school, drove to the lake, and sat in the car with the engine running. I played the recording again. Rachel's voice didn't sound seductive. It sounded desperate, sad, like she was trying to write herself into a story that didn't want her. Michael, though, he sounded lost, conflicted, not guilty, not innocent either, somewhere in between. That night, I asked him, "Do you remember the night Rachel stayed over when I was in the hospital?" He looked up from his pasta. "Which night?" 8 months ago. You told me Lily had a fever and Rachel came to help." He nodded slowly. "Yeah, it was a rough week. Did anything happen between you two?" His fork froze halfway to his mouth. I watched his face, saw the microsecond of hesitation. "I mean," he said carefully, "not the way you think." "Then tell me how." He put the fork down. "She kissed me. I didn't kiss her back. She stayed for a bit, helped with Lily, and then I told her to leave." "And you didn't think I deserved to know?" He sighed. "I didn't want to hurt you. You were recovering. I thought if I ignored it, it would go away." I felt my throat tighten. It didn't, I know. We sat in silence, our food going cold. Then he added, "I never wanted her. Not really. I was alone. I was tired. You were hurting, and I didn't know how to help. So you let her stay." I nodded. Yes. Later that night, I opened Rachel's diary one last time. Not to punish myself, not to seek answers, just to finish. There was one final entry. She'll find out. Eventually, maybe she already knows. Maybe this was never about him. Maybe it was about becoming her. Maybe I wanted her life more than I wanted him. I stared at the sentence until the words blurred. All this time, I'd imagined Rachel as the predator, calculating, manipulative, But maybe she was just lonely. Maybe we both were. I didn't tell Michael about the monitor. I didn't delete the file either. I kept it on a flash drive. Hidden. A secret insurance policy against forgiveness. We didn't talk about Rachel again. Instead, we talked about Lily's school, about the mortgage, about what to plant in the garden. We became a couple who survived something by never naming it. I thought that might be enough until the package arrived. It came on a Thursday. A small box. No return address. Inside was a photograph. Rachel and Michael. Taken from across the street, they were sitting at a cafe. He was leaning in, smiling. She was touching his wrist. On the back, one word written in thick black ink. Still? I stared at the photograph for a long time. It wasn't just the intimacy, though, that was there. Undeniably. It was the timing. The same scarf. The same jacket. Michael had told me he was at a faculty lunch that day. I'd made him a turkey sandwich to take with him. But there he was, 2 blocks from our house, sharing coffee with Rachel like nothing had ever happened. I flipped the photo over again. Still? The word wasn't a question. It was a threat. Or maybe a test. I waited until Lily was asleep. Michael was in the den, watching a documentary about river pollution. I stood behind him, photo in hand, watching him sip his whiskey and nod thoughtfully at the screen. Then I said quietly, "Who took this?" He looked up. His expression shifted so fast, from confusion to recognition to dread, that I knew everything I needed to know. "I can explain," he said. "Don't," I replied. "Not yet." He stood. "She reached out, said she needed closure, she wanted to apologize again, and you believed her?" "I didn't go there for her. I went to..." He stopped. "I don't know why I went." I nodded. "That part one believe?" "We argued. Of course we did. Not shouting. Not tears. Just a slow, painful unraveling of every thread we'd knotted back together over the past months. He said he hadn't touched her. I believed him. But I also knew that wasn't the point. The betrayal wasn't in the body. It was in the withholding. The meetings he didn't tell me about. The thoughts he let wander, even if his hands stayed still. It was in the silences that widened into ravines. The next morning, I called Rachel. She answered on the second ring. "I wondered when you'd call." "So it was you." I took the photo, yes. "Why send it?" She was quiet for a moment. Then, "To remind you who he is. Who he always was. That's rich. Coming from you." "I loved him," she said simply. "Maybe I still do. And what am I supposed to do with that?" "Whatever you want. Leave him. Stay. Just don't pretend you don't know now." Her voice was calm, measured, as if she'd already said goodbye to her own shame. I hung up, and for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel confused. I felt clear. That night, I made dinner. Nothing fancy, chili, cornbread, Lily's favorite. Michael offered to help. I let him. We moved around each other like old dance partners. Careful, familiar. At the table, Lily told a story about a girl in her class who swore her cat could use the toilet. We laughed. It felt real. After she went to bed, I poured us each a glass of wine. He took a sip, eyes cautious. "I don't know how to fix this," he said. "I don't think we can fix it," I replied. "I think we just carry it. Is that enough?" I thought for a long time. Then I said, "Ask me again in a year." Weeks passed. The photos stayed in a drawer. The flash drive, too. Not gone, just buried. Like Rachel's diary. Like the 1,000 moments we don't speak of but never forget. Michael was softer with me. Less distracted. Maybe more afraid of losing me. I was harder. Quieter. But honest, finally. We started therapy. We started being awkward and vulnerable again. It hurt. It also helped. I saw Rachel once, in town. She didn't approach. Just passed by in a green coat, face unreadable. She looked thinner. Tired. Lonely. I didn't wave. Months later, Lily found the perfume vial in my drawer. "Can I wear this?" she asked, already dabbing it behind her ears. I froze. Then I smiled. "Sure, but just a little. That one's strong." She grinned and ran off. I held the vial a moment longer. Then I threw it in the trash. I don't know if we'll make it, but I know what I won't do. I won't pretend this didn't happen. I won't tell myself I imagined it. And I won't ever let someone rewrite my life in my own house again. Some truths you bury, some you tape shut in boxes, and some you wear like armor. Rachel's diary sits in our attic. I haven't opened it since. But sometimes, when I'm alone in the house, I swear I can still smell vanilla and vetiver. I breathe in. I breathe out. And I remind myself, that smell was never mine.